Hey, what is up, dudes and dudettes? Merry Christmas, and today there's gonna be a very special edition of MMTLP analysis for you guys. Since, I was at my Christmas party and some people were asking about my YouTube channel, they went and scraped through all these comments. They're like, oh my god, look at those fucking comments. And then these people are so ignorant and they have just no idea how to really go find information on certain things. And then I was like, but hey, like you can't really put out all the informations online. We tried that before, and then we got backlash, right? And then, you know, if you were born in a very Asian family, you understand that Asian parents and Asian friends, they are kind of honest. They like the very brutal honesty, and then they want you to tell everybody that, oh my God, you sucks. Well, actually, that's not actually true. But my family really want me to be very consistent and very transparent and very honest with my YouTube subscribers. Therefore, here you go, all the data you need. That some of them used to be confidential back then, but now it's not because the company technically is not there anymore. And thank you so much. We give credit to Bronco from our Discord, who is our residential oil and oil extraction expert, who's been doing this for, I don't know, 10 years, 6 years, something around there. And he does a bunch of analysis for big companies and big trusts who does oil explorations and extraction and those kind of stuff. And thank you so much for the random guest that showed up at our Christmas party the other night. Yes, I did a lot of house chores. Yes, yes, yes. I'm a really good son. Okay, if you're watching this video, I know you're probably laughing at me. But yeah, thank you so much for your expertise, who's been working for Halliburton and for SLB and for Chevron as a geologist. I know, the probability of a 60-year-old watching YouTube is probably low, but I will still send it to you. And thank you so much for giving me a lot of information on why people don't drill at Oriana Grande area or Grande, however you call it, right? But anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's content. Hey, yo, what is up, dudes and dudas? Due Diligence here. Merry Christmas. Today is one day after Christmas, and we're going to talk about MMTLP. Okay, the preferred share or the dividend holder, whatever you call that, for metamaterials. And for those of you who just tuned into the channel, this is basically a video that I am going to put out, which when you were watching this, it's already out, right? To clarify how we get our conclusions on how much, basically we figure out the maximum amount of dividend it will ever give you, if it ever gives you dividend, and then sort of like a justification for why we sold, but we already told you the justification. A lot of people are really salty that we didn't put out any data. It's not like you guys are actually gonna go look at the data anyways. So okay, before we get into the actual data and then actual analysis, let's just look at something that kind of a little bit fishy in terms of the logistics of OTC trading. So if you go look at the market cap here, it's 790 million. Okay, let's take out our trusty calculator. The reason why I use this is because some of you cannot do it in your brain, right? You have to see it, like you have to visualize it on a calculator. So for those of you who don't know how market caps are calculated, market caps equals to what? Your share price, right, times how many shares are outstanding. Some people believe it's how many shares are in circulation. It's totally not true, because if you go just search market cap, how it was calculated, right? So we have 790. You know what? Let's just do it in decimals and divide it by 1.35. You get 585 million. Interesting, right? So basically, what this OTC trading instrument or financial instrument or security is telling us that the stock have over 585 million shares outstanding. But according to the CEO of this company, which is our trusty GP, he says there's only 164 million shares in street names, which, well, a lot of YouTubers haven't explained to you. The true meaning of in street name is just means most likely in retail players' hands and doesn't really equal the corporate ownership. But anyways, the definition of all of these they're kind of vague in the financial world, and we usually don't talk about it. And for those of you who are really curious about my background, right now I'm doing my master's. I have 2 side gigs. I trade options basically full time, and then I go to school in the afternoon. One of my gig is to help a shipping slash warehousing slash export company basically do their financial statements and figure out what is wrong with them. And the other one, basically, I work for a private future trading firms and do a lot of research for them and also invest some people's money. Well, anyways, that's just, I'll make a separate video about what do I do and what I'm capable of, and mainly what I really want to accomplish is basically finish my auto trading bots. But anyways, so yeah, this is, if you guys want to see more logistics that doesn't match what he's saying, some of them are on my Patreon, and we talk about like we call it the sneaky theories, where a lot of people panic sold after I post all these Patreon videos. I mean, you panic sold around like, I don't know, like $4 ish, something like that. But in the long run, it should pay off, unless there's a fast pump and dump on MMAT anyways. But yeah, I will post another video on the. A lot of comments are saying I have no idea how OTC works. People trade on OTCs. It's only the market makers who are doing those deals, blah, 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 blah. Well, first of all, you have no idea how the market mechanics works. And second of all, I've been trading for 6 years. I was mentored by one of the best traders in the entire fucking world. And yeah, let's just say, and also one of my, Harvard professors who taught us those things in class. I'm pretty sure I have more credibility and I understand how the market works and how to basically get listed on OTC, OTC Pink, and all those kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's not what you guys were trying to say there. And some of you are bringing up NextBridge. Oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that company. You know what? I'll make another video about this. But this video, we're going to just go into the very detailed math behind why. Or it's more like you guys are misread some information, therefore you think that there are 3.7 billion barrels just sitting there waiting for you to extract them and sell them for $60 per barrel, but it's totally not how it works in oil extraction. All right, without further ado, let's look at the document. So the document in question is this one, right? We go back to the original, the Torchlight Resource Inc. project overview. This is basically a third time they're trying to ask for more money from investors, which they actually don't have investors. And later on, we're going to revisit the 2014 document. The reason why they didn't get money in 2014 is because they actually put out a presentation without no fluff, and then if you are seasoned in oil extraction, you will know that this investment actually won't really pay off unless the oil price skyrocket, which right now it's still not skyrocket, and then the cost of using equipment and then the cost of extraction on high or low porosity land, whatever. I'm not gonna get into the porosity, the water content, and all these things that the nitty gritty of being a geologist need to know that, okay, this is the equipment capability, this is how the ground is actually structured, this is how much oil we can actually extract. So a lot of you only read very large upside, right? All right, very large upside in potential hydrocarbon resources, right? That just means they have oil up to, remember, this is up to, so this is capped, up to 3.7 billion barrels recoverable at 10%. Well, here's the thing. It's not 3.7 billion barrels that is recoverable. It's 3.7 billion barrels recoverable at 10%. That means the maximum recovery of all, if you operate 134,000 acres under lease of Oro Grande Basin, and then there's supposed to be 3.7 billion barrels underground that they estimated, and this is the maximum amount of barrel they can ever extract. But in reality, due to previous research, previous data, I mean, a lot of you have to really think about this question, right? If there are so many oil under this basin, why no one else is drilling there? Why? Because the recoverable amount is so low. The recoverable amount is at 10%. And usually in the industry, what they do is they usually acquire recoverable oil fields somewhere around. They want to have the recoverable number around 30% to 50%. If it's over 50%, on a sort of like a general scale across the board, that's really, really good. Usually the oil companies will pay premium, but when it's lower than 30%, a lot of those things are sold at a discount because really no one is doing testing well there and no one is really drilling there. And because at the end of the day, it's all about economical scale, and depending on like how many people are drilling there, therefore there are like natural pipelines going through there, all of those things. Therefore, like lower recoverable land actually will have a higher operating cost. But anyways, those are for those of you who gonna go down this rabbit hole like I do and just go ask those people who worked in this industry and trying to figure out how exactly it works. But right now, let's just compare this land to the other land, which all of you love. Where did it go? So here is how like all of the things that so there used to be a continental deal, right? So remember the continental resources basically bought they basically bought Pioneer's Permian Basin's land for 3.25 billion, and those of you who are doing calculations in Discord are saying, hey, they're selling their thing at 3.25 billion, right? There are 92,000 net acres. So, and then what you do is every acre, right? Like trying to figure out how much does every acre, worth. This basically is 3.52 times, 1 billion, and you will get every acre worth $35,000. You guys are like, oh my god, let's go look at how many, acres that the Ori Grande plays have, right? So we go to, which one should I do? You know what? I'll just do the OG one, right? So here. So there are 134,000 acres under lease. You're like, okay, let's just time that to 34,000. That should give us how much money this land is gonna sell. You're like, oh my god, it's worth $4.7 billion. Well, technically speaking, it won't. Why is that? Because if you go and look at, where's my other screenshot? If you go and look at the Permian Basins, sorry about butchering the pronunciation because I have no idea how to pronounce this name. I'm pretty sure it's like a New Mexican or like a Spanish thing that they translated. And I really love Latina chicks, so I don't really want them to think that I butchered their names, that kind of thing. But anyways, so if you read this entire document, right, or this entire thing, I can actually send it to you guys. Or you guys just want the source of all of those, including where I get, well, actually, I can't tell you where I get some of the confidential information, but the Torchlight presentation, I'll put them in Discord. I'll do a new channel or whatever and just put it on Discord so you guys can actually see it. So basically, if you do this, you will realize that, okay, so Permian Basin actually have recoverable at 56%. And usually the recoverable is really, really good. And the leftover wells have at least 25 to 13% ultimate recovery, right? So you guys are like, oh, okay. So how is this applied to our oil land, right? So in here, our maximum recoverable is at 10%. And then in here, the one that just got sold, right, earlier this year, is at 56%. So we should take a 1/5 discount. So if we take out our calculator and take out 1/5 discount, so we divide that number by 5, that gives us the maximum amount of how much this land will be sold under the same assumption that the acquirer of the oil land can basically operate on the entire Rio Grande region with the same type of equipment and with the same type of efficiency. We're just making assumptions here, and it was worth 946 million. So if you divide that by how many outstanding shares that if you go look at the SEC filings, again, the SEC filings I will post it in another video. We talk about the logistics of the trading on OTC, the actual how many outstanding shares are there. If you actually calculate it and you go back and look at all of the releases and everything, you do the 1 shares of MMAT get you like another point 0.8 of torch, and torch conversion, and how many convertible shares were there, how many like unsecured debentures are there, and you do all of these math, you'll realize that there are at least 185 million outstanding shares out there. So if you do the math, and then you divide it by another 1,000,000, you will see that the maximum share price or the maximum dividend you will ever receive is about $3.3. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does, right? And for those of you who are like, oh no, like George said there's only 165 million shares out there. Okay, so let's just say that's what 1.5x. So basically, so you don't like my 285. You're like, I like the 165. So that's two. No, that's not 2x. That's 0.5, right? So then let's just time 1.5. $5. That's the maximum amount of dividend you will ever receive. But the problem here is you will never receive that amount. Why is that? Because there are costs incurred within trying to do the oil testing, trying to do the drilling, trying to maintain the lease, trying to hire a new company to manage this land. There are transaction fees associated. There are some dealings going on with transferring a public company's asset into a private hold company called Oilco. For those of you who don't know what Oilco is basically a subsidiary of Metamaterial, and basically George is using that company for parking their oil asset. If you guys want more information, go onto their website and go to news, and in here it talks about Meta provides update on special dividend. Again, due to the fact that it's now like a private holding company, disclosure requirement is more and more lenient. Therefore, there are a lot of interesting things they can do with how they're structuring all these preferred shares in this private company. And I don't really want to talk about a lot of my speculations, but I do think some of those insiders are offloading MMTLP on the OTC market. And there are money trails of it. I will show you guys in the next video, basically. So the takeaway of this video, bear with me, is the maximum amount of dividend you will ever get is $3.3, basically. So if you go on to Weibo, right? If you go on to Weibo, you will see. I'll show you. So we wait for a little bit, wait until our trusty Weibo comes up. You will see that the market is actually really smart. The market traded. It's just like how Robinhood is the operator, right? So the market actually traded to 2.2. It never will reach the full potential value of how much the dividend will actually worth. And then in here, it traded on top to 3.2. And then we're talking about the maximum you will ever get is 3.3. So this is actually really good. Now thinking back, I was like, oh my God, I'm a genius by selling at that high, but only about 20% of my entire dividend shares. And for those of you who are still thinking that, you said it's possible to get $5. Sure, if it's possible to $5, but you have to but that's very optimistic thinking. And second of all is how many years have to wait, right? Think about it. This information coming out, like in here, you already know that they're not gonna hastily sell the oil land. And for those of you who are not new to our channel, you know that we have very accurate prediction for how volatile the oil market will be and how long it's gonna stay that way. And we have predictions on how stable it is gonna be. So let's just say they hold this company for 6 years and then sell at that price. Does the monetary time value really worth your investment? Again, this is something you have to think about, right? All right. So you guys see on the upside, again, we're not financial advisors. We do not give financial advices. Therefore, everything we say on this channel is for shits and giggles. Merry Christmas.